We need more unions in the marijuana industry, and I really appreciate the Teamsters for going after some of these workers and moving into that industry, because it is difficult under the current conditions.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Our next story is a little different, a little interesting here, which is talking about weed and the Teamsters. Marijuana policy and the Teamsters Union. So I wanted to mention this alongside a couple other little things here kind of in this arena, but I did want to lift up this press release from the Teamsters, which they titled "Federal Legislation Needed to Bring Worker Protection to Nascent Cannabis Industry." The Teamsters are endorsing the Secure and Fair Enforcement Banking Act, or the SAFE Banking Act, which today got a hearing in the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. The bipartisan legislation will protect workers and improve public safety by allowing legal cannabis businesses access to banking services. There are thousands of people working at cannabis proprietors in 38 states, including many who are our members, said Teamsters General President Sean O'Brien. These workers deserve a safe workplace that provides meaningful wages, health care, and access to retirement security. The SAFE Banking Act will allow these workers to engage in a meaningful partnership with their employer by removing archaic and nonsensical regulations that the industry is currently subjected to. And again, that's from Teamsters President Sean O'Brien. Without access to traditional banking services, legal cannabis businesses are forced to operate almost entirely in cash. This puts workers at risk of robbery and violence, enables wage theft, and makes it harder for public officials to enforce state and local regulations. Cannabis workers also often find it onerous to secure mortgages or access to basic banking because financial institutions are overly and unfairly cautious about the source of their income. The SAFE Banking Act will create a safer and more secure work environment for the cannabis industry, said Peter Finn, Teamsters Western Region International Vice President and Food Processing Division Director. It will bring one of our country's largest cash crops out of the shadows and into the mainstream, making it easier for the industry's many highly skilled workers to stay in this craft and build long-term prosperous careers. So, of course, the Teamsters, I really appreciate them putting out this press release and speaking up on this industry. They are representing more and more workers in the cannabis industry. And of course, the Teamsters, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, actually represents 1.2 million people in the U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico. So shout out to the Teamsters for putting this out there, because there is a definite need for legalization done the right way. That means done safely, done in a way that does not leave people behind.
So that's something to talk about, actually, is these really onerous restrictions actually only encourage the black market to continue to exist. Even in places where it's been fully legalized recreationally, many places decide it's not worth the hassle. I'm already basically operating on the black market. Why do I need to get all of this licensure? Why do I need to be above board? What's the point in a storefront?
Right, which obviously...
Which then means there is less clean product coming out into the community, right?
Yes, and it also obviously means like less regulations to protect workers, right? Because as a worker in a legal workplace, you have certain rights. Doesn't mean they're always respected, but you have them. Not so much in the black market. And so there's a need to legalize marijuana. It's way past time for that to happen in this country, across this country, even here in states like Alabama. But there's a need to do it the right way, as opposed to reinforcing exploitative work conditions, which has been happening in some areas.
And also keeping the market closed to people most impacted.
Right, right. How about the folks who've been impacted by our racist, discriminatory, stupid marijuana laws? How about giving them first dibs on this industry, as opposed to big finance capital, which is coming in and has, really taken over the industry in a lot of places in this country. The old image of like hippie farmers doing this And that's not the case anymore.
It's venture capitalists.
Right, it's
now.
venture capitalists. It's not the hippie farmers. They've been kicked out of the business and priced out and gouged out. So
yeah, I'd love to see some of these people that have been incarcerated for marijuana crimes have the first dibs at being able to do these legally.
And not just first dibs in terms of like getting the required paperwork or permissions, but actual investment.
right.
Oh,
These people have lost their lives, their time, their working ability to being incarcerated.
Let's repair some harm.
Yeah, let's repair some harm.
Let's repair some harm. Why not have worker co-ops as a key model inside the marijuana industry? I think that's another option too, rather than these, hierarchical enterprises. And, there's a lot we could do to do it the right way.
Just imagine that $5.7 million investment.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
That
The
one
TJ
little
Maxx
city.
money.
That one little city for that one little strip mall.
Right. Right. What could you do with that? And so, the Safe Banking Act, that's bare minimum kind of reform that needs to happen. Yes, at the very least, we need to make sure that this industry, where it exists, is brought out into the open, that folks are not relying on cash only, that you have regular banking. So, workers are protected so the businesses can operate soundly. And, we need more unions in the marijuana industry. I think that's something else that's really big. And I really appreciate the Teamsters for going after some of these workers and moving into that industry, because, it is difficult under the current conditions because of the lack of the Safe Banking Act.
And big ups to the Teamsters for holding up so much of the labor movement, man. They're all over the place with drivers and everything.
Yeah, we love our Teamsters brothers and sisters. The Teamsters are definitely doing a lot of good work, and I'm excited to see what President Sean O'Brien is bringing with his administration. We'll see, how things go this summer with UPS negotiations. That's going to be the big news out of Teamsters, with the UPS contract expiring this summer. So, stay tuned on that for sure. But yeah, I really appreciate them and appreciate their work to bring some much needed reform to the marijuana industry.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.